Welcome back. Now, the youth of 1976 fought against Afrikaans being imposed on black schools as a medium of instruction. With that fight won, today matric certificate, diploma or degree in hand, as a youth you may struggle to find employment in South Africa. That's with the first quarter unemployment print for youth sitting at 46.5%. President Ramaphosa's Youth Employment Service is of the view that developing skills in future-proof sectors, among other things, may be the answer. I caught up with the COO of YES, Leanne Emery Hunter. For more of the detail, here's that conversation.
I think it's a complex issue and multifaceted. So, without economic growth, businesses are not hiring. Job creation is stagnating. So we simply have the problem of more youth entering the job market every year than the economy can accommodate. And I'm sure you've seen some of the headlines recently around the fact that our primary school students can't read for meaning. So we have an education system that is not equipping youth often to be able to, specifically in future-facing roles that are technology-led, be able to participate. So you have this conundrum where youth are excluded from economic participation, and it's so difficult for them to break into the market. And that's why at the Youth Employment Service, we work with the private sector and we incentivize the private sector to provide youth with that first work opportunity, which breaks the unemployment trap that so many young people find themselves in. I can't get a job without experience, and I can't get experience without a job. Because I'll stop there.
Yeah, you talk about how YES incentivizes the private sector to hire youth, and I was actually about to ask, are those government incentives enough or being used enough by the big corporates, but also small businesses?
So how YES works is that we have a specific incentive, which was in partnership with government and labor, where if a business joins the YES program and they create critical work opportunities for young South Africans, they can receive a BE level up on their scorecard. And what we've seen is that this is a great way for businesses to come on board, and many of the businesses who are doing this have multifaceted reasons for doing it. Obviously, it's in line with their transformation strategies, but also because they know that if 2 in 3 young people are excluded from the economy, that means that is dire for our businesses and our nation moving forward. So in terms of the incentive that YES has particularly, we have seen that we have 1,400 businesses that have joined the program, and we've been able to create, through the private sector alone, just over 100,000, I think we're on 114,000 as of this morning, jobs in 4 years. As to more incentives, I think we absolutely need to see more incentives. We need to be able to make it easier for business, especially in this economic environment, to hire young people, and for SMEs, because the formal market simply will not be able to absorb the number of youth that we need to get into jobs. So if we can incentivize small businesses to take on youth, this will just have a ripple effect for generations.
Yeah, and of course, with this changing landscape of work and economic structure, is it also a struggle for young people to actually find what suits them, but also what exactly is needed for future jobs?
I think that's a good question. We are certainly seeing that the landscape that we are sitting in now versus 10 years ago is completely different. Just looking at AI and how that has changed the whole landscape of doing business in many sectors has been really fascinating to watch. I think as a young person, my advice would be lifelong learning. No matter what you learn at school or in your, if you go on to do further training and education, the world is changing so fast, and there's certain skills that are always going to be necessary: professionalism, communication, computer literacy. And our employers also say that attitude trumps skill and experience trumps education. But wherever you can, continuously learn and educate yourself. And I think COVID has really changed the landscape. There are so many ways without a formal degree that you can upskill yourself in certain future-facing sectors like green, drones, technology, coding, AI. These are all sectors that I would encourage young people to really just keep informed on and try to embark on this growth mindset where you are continuously learning.
Yeah, all right. And lastly, I mean, what advice, or you talk about lifelong learning, but what additional advice and tips can you give to youth as they navigate the job and entrepreneurship markets?
So I think we find ourselves in a very competitive landscape. You have essentially 7 million, if you look at the discouraged work seekers, 7 million young people under the age of 35 who are jobless. So it's a really competitive market. And what I would say to young people is our employers have said to us that the things that really make a difference are a good interview, education status, and relevant work experience. With that being said, work experience trumps education. So if you can get some kind of reference and some kind of work experience under your belt, that de-risks you and makes you more likely to be attractive to a potential employer. So volunteer, try to get some kind of experience in a reference letter on your CV, network wherever possible. If you are in a job, expand your network. If you are not, use LinkedIn. Make sure you have a LinkedIn profile. Expand your network. Really invest in future skills, some of the sectors that I mentioned earlier. Get yourself a side hustle. That side hustle, you never know where it's going to go, and it could potentially become your full-time role. We've seen so many youth who, through the program, had a side hustle, and eventually that has become an avenue for them to now employ 10, 20, 30 young people themselves. And I think in this really depressing time that we have at the moment, I mean, Youth Day should be a time to celebrate the potential of our youth and how they can be change makers, and so many are locked out. Mental wellness and mental fitness is something that I think is something to really focus on. You need to have a certain amount of resilience and grit and look after your mental wellness and your mental fitness.
That was COO of the Youth Employment Service, Leanne Emery Hunter. Now, on the international